Fiber cement siding is the best siding on the market today. It's fireproof, it's durable, and it's going to last you generations. But the downside is it's very difficult to install. It's basically just concrete. So in this video, we're going to show you exactly how to install it the easy way. Let's go. Fiber cement siding can actually be pretty brittle. Because it's a concrete product, it can actually snap quite easily. The safest place for it is on the wall or in the pallet. The important thing to consider is holding it vertically. You don't want to hold it flat because it will sag too much and it will break very easy. So one of the hardest things about installing fiber cement is just cutting it. Because it's a concrete product, obviously you can't just take a saw blade, cut through it very easily. So back in the day, we used to use a knife. We would just score the fiber cement and you can break it right there. That is terrible. You do not want to do that. Over the years, we bought a few tools to help make this go a little bit faster. And one of them is basically just a standard laminate cutter. So those tools are great for when you're just trying to cut it sideways. But when we're trying to do a rip cut along the length, you can see how both those options aren't very good. So what we used is actually a fiber cement shear. This is a dust-free tool that works very, very well. As you can see, you just kind of pinch it in there, move it along, and that's how you cut it. Excellent tool. I highly recommend a shear. They do make saw blades specifically for fiber cement that you can put on your chop saws, that you can put on your table saws. Unfortunately, those create a lot of dust because it's a silica product, it's a concrete product, so it really isn't healthy for the guys installing it. In a pinch, it does work for small amounts of things. Just make sure you're using a mask or a respirator. Another option is an angle grinder with a concrete blade. Just make sure you have all your guards on your grinders, that you're wearing a respirator. In a pinch, it works, but I do not recommend. Definitely go for the fiber cement shears or the laminate cutter. So once you figure out how to cut it, you're kind of done the hard part. Now you just need to figure out how to put it up on the wall. So we have these, they're called gecko gauges. Basically slide under the first row you put down, and you can see in there's a little notch where you sit the next piece on there. It sets your reveals and it makes it really easy. You can do it with one guy. Place your full board on there and start nailing away. Nailing. Getting this thing to attach to the wall. You basically nail them with nails, and you put those nails into a stud. So you basically have to mark out all your studs on the walls, snap your horizontal lines to make sure everything's going to be straight, and that when you go up, you're going up straight and level. Only one good way to attach it to the wall, and that's with an air-powered nailer. This siding nailer is specifically made for siding. One of the important aspects when you're looking at your nails, make sure they're not clipped heads. If they're clipped head nails, they're not going to work because they're not going to have enough holding power to hold that piece of siding up. Another thing you have to consider is you don't want to overdrive your nails to be flush with the fiber cement. If they're in too deep, they're not going to hold anything. So a few important things to consider when you're installing your fiber cement. If you're butting your siding up to trim, you don't want it to be tight like that. You actually want about an 1/8-inch gap to allow for expansion and contraction. Another thing to consider is when you have a very long run and you're butting two pieces together. These two pieces are tight. We don't actually want them to be tight. Again, we want a little bit of a gap in between them to allow for expansion and contraction. Another thing on butt joints, you have to make sure to install a piece of flashing behind every single joint. That way water is not going to get in between that gap. Back in the day, suppliers used to say you had to caulk that joint, the butt joint in between them. That is a no-go. We do not do that anymore. Now we put flashing behind. It is a way better product, way better system. We do, however, caulk to side trim. Now we can caulk it.